Good morning, everyone. This is Abundance Book Club. I am here with Terry. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning.
Hi. We are reading, for those of you that are reading along with us, you already know this, but if you haven't been watching this, we're reading Creating Money, Attracting Abundance, one of the best books that I have read in a long time. And I read a lot of great books on money and on wealth. For those of you that are on the same journey of knowing that you get to create a bigger life for yourself in your money game, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you are creating time freedom, life freedom, money freedom, any of that, that is what these conversations are about. So welcome and thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about when to listen to your own guidance and when to follow others' guidance. And it's straight from the book, and we'll talk about some stuff from our own journeys as well. But I'm going to jump right in. Actually, before I do, if you have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button so you can get these conversations. We go live every weekday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And we also have a Facebook group where we connect and talk about the book further and do some other fun stuff. So I'll make sure that link is in the comments for you so you can join the Facebook group. Hit the subscribe button, play with us on a regular basis. We're always here having a lot of fun.
Right? I wanted to jump in too, Tabitha. You were talking about what came up for me. What it was, this book is about money and abundance. I want to add that for me, I'm reading this and I do a lot of up-leveling coaching, life coaching, and this could be about anything. It's not necessarily about money, although it leaks everywhere. So if any of you are just about up-leveling your life and to create a shift, a mindset shift, this is so yummy and good.
Yeah, that is true. We up-level in all areas of our life. And Terry, as a fitness and nutrition coach, you bring such a great layering on of how these things layer into how we take care of ourselves, how we treat our body, and how we get to experience living in these bodies. So I love that you bring that layer as well. And yeah, it applies to everything. Like it's our whole lives. We get to live in abundance in all of it. Absolutely. All right. For those of you that are reading along, you can go to page 159 where we're going to be today. This whole page is just underlined and highlighted for me because it is so good. But I'm going to be reading from the very bottom. Doing your life's work will require the skills of listening to and following your own wisdom. It will require making yourself, rather than everyone else, the authority on what is good for you. Actually, it says, it will require making yourself rather than anyone else the authority on what is good for you. Creating your life's work is a process of discovering yourself. Of course, we know that, right? You do so by going within rather than looking for answers outside of yourself. Many of you think that others have the answers. And then I'll skip a little bit. There is a time when it is appropriate to listen to outside authorities, such as when you are new to something and need to acquire knowledge about it. So I've experienced this in my own life where when I didn't know something, I did listen and I did learn and I did seek, and I still seek, right? There's still things that are my next level that I'm seeking, reading, being coached on, those sorts of things. But at some point, we have to let go of another person's way of doing it, because ultimately they're sharing from their experience, and the uniqueness of us, whether it is, delivering from our authentic place, or whether it is designing something that is meant for us in our life path, we have to at some point just glean from others and pull from what is meant for us and really hear our own guidance and our own wisdom and trust that. And I know for myself, there have been times where I felt it strong, like a really strong pull within me, like this is the path for you. This is the thing that I get to move forward with. And someone else was telling me something different. And I had to just go, okay, this is scary. I'm cutting that cord of the need for someone else to know the answers and just trusting myself and moving forward. And it really is powerful what gets created when we lean into that, because it isn't just our own internal guidance. It is my experience of it. It is my relationship with God, my relationship with so much more than just my own internal guidance. But that's a great way to, in my experience, it's a great way to describe it because it feels so deep.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this so much. So rich with layers and layers. What comes up for me is that this is a process. Sometimes we have a goal and it's in an arena that we have no idea how to get to the next step, right? So we do listen to others and we make mistakes and we get bumpered. And mistakes are a failing forward or a gifting forward, opportunity forward. And even when we followed that guidance, and it wouldn't be the guidance that would create what we want in the end, that is a perfect piece of the puzzle, is because we got to go through that and learn that. And I found that those are as valuable as making the right decision or making the decision that would have gotten to you to the goal faster. So I don't think it's about how quickly you can accomplish what your goal is. It's all the gold nuggets that you get along the way. And I love this part about trusting your own intuition. And there's layers on that. A lot of us in my work, in my coaching, nutrition and life coaching, it starts out about the food. And when my clients learn that they can trust themselves to do and follow the lifestyle that supports their highest and best, there's a deep down inner trust and self-integrity that leaks everywhere else. So you build that trust that you're talking about, which is super important. Then you get to learn what your own intuition is and trust that. And even if it, again, doesn't get you to the right goal, it was perfect for you because you were given that lesson for a reason. So it's all a process. And that's so yummy and chewy, this piece in the book.
Yeah. And I love that, that is the work that you do it through nutrition, but it really is learning to hear your own inner guidance and that higher calling, that part of us that pulls us to our higher self, towards our most desired outcome, and really learning to trust that intuition, trust ourselves. Because I think, a lot of it too, it's not only about being in a space that we don't know. As an example, I'm thinking about nutrition, right? There may be, plenty of knowledge about it, but our intuition maybe hasn't been honed to the point where we really hear it at the highest level, right? So I can have all the knowledge of what I should eat, right? If we put it in the should category, what I should eat. But then if I'm following what I think is my intuition, because my intuition hasn't been honed, my intuition can be like, well, I feel like having,
sugar.
That's sugar.
That's so perfect too, because one of the first things I do is clean up your bodies. Clean them up so that there's a line of communication open. And this is also layered in life and learning in life too. But there's so much peripheral noise, meaning there's preservatives, there's additives, there's added antibiotics and hormones. And there's a lot of food that we cannot assimilate. So I remove all of that to create a clean line of communication between your mind, body, and soul. So exactly what you're talking about, the intuition, creating the opportunity for your intuition to even play a role, rather than the cravings and the addictions to the sugars and the preservatives. And that's kind of like with life. So I create a intuition between your mind, body, and soul, you intuitively will be able to look at a food and know if it's good or bad, if your body will be able to assimilate it. It's super fun, and everybody's different. Everybody.
The bodies. Yeah.
Bodies.
Yeah, I remember a time in my life where I felt like I had no body wisdom. I had no internal intuition. And it really was because there were so many other inputs, right? There was cravings, there was, all the things that you've discussed with around food and around my physical body. But then there was also a lot of other inputs, like people's opinions, other people's way of doing things. And
Marketing.
What's that?
Marketing.
Yes. Don't you want this thing? Marketing. Yeah. And even, the way other people do things, family members, friends. And I hear, such great coaching around, as an example. If you're someone who is single and you are hanging out with all the other single girls and you are chatting about it and you're taking advice from each other, don't be surprised if you're getting the same result that they're getting, right? Or if you are, typically we kind of hang around people that are similar to us. If they have a specific result in their lives and we're in that conversation all the time, we're going to keep generating those results. So those inputs, like you're talking about inputs from the body. So taking it out into life, the inputs that we surround ourselves with are going to affect us being able to hear our own intuition.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so important that we clean those up, like you said.
It is. And then you have the opportunity to learn to trust your intuition, because that's hard for me in real life. It's like, do I want something so badly that that's my intuition or just my strong mind, right? It's hard to tell. And sometimes when we want something so badly, it's like, okay, God will let us have it. It's like, oops, you learned a lesson.
Yeah, it becomes a lesson. Exactly. Yeah. It's so perfect. Like you were saying earlier, it's like, okay, no big deal. That was a lesson. That was not my intuition leading me towards what I was, hoping for, what I was really wanting to create.
Right. Well, and the gift in that was that we'd never have learned that. We'd traveled through life always thinking that that was the way. Well, we just learned. It was just a gift. It's like, oops, that's not the way. So shift and pivot.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. All right, let's do the next one. This is from page 161. Towards the bottom, it's actually the last paragraph. Take a moment right now to ask the part of you that is so good at helping others if it would be willing to commit its energies to helping you discover and carry out your own life's work. It is usually delighted to be asked to help you. And I love that so much because I was always the kid and still am the person who talks to themselves. I think we all do. I think most of us have become okay with that. Oh yeah, we do talk to ourselves. But it's so powerful to speak to our subconscious and to go, I just love that it's like, I hear it, this going to the subconscious. You're so good at helping everybody else. Let's do that for us. Let's make that happen in our life. Would you help me? Be the helper for me. I loved it. I just, made me giggle because I hear my son talking to himself and I'll ask him, I'll be like, are you talking to me? He's like, no, I'm talking to myself. I'm like, okay, awesome. Hopefully he's saying powerful, empowering things to himself. And it's really important to talk to ourselves.
I think so too. And what a great line out of the book. There's a way that we speak to ourselves, and to be able to become aware and notice what our mind says to each other, and to itself, not to each other.
Feels like to each other.
So it's like, what? There's several people in here. But no, to how we speak to ourselves. And also we like to sometimes help others to avoid diving into what it looks like to help ourselves. Sometimes we don't know. So I love this, so that we get to speak to ourselves. We get to like ourselves, and we start speaking to how we can help ourselves and get out of the avoidance of it by helping others too. So, yeah.
That's so good. And being intentional, right? And, sometimes I've heard other speakers say things like, ask your mind instead of, being in the problem, being all wrapped up in a problem, ask for the solution and let it go. Right. That's another way we can communicate to our mind and to our subconscious and allow it to begin to serve us.
Yes.
Instead of just being something that serves everyone else. I think that's beautiful. And like you said, it can be a distraction from us creating what we're here to create, or it could be out of fear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But as we start to ask ourselves questions and ask ourselves like this one, just saying, hey, are you ready to, help me? Would you mind helping me? And just communicating intentionally to our mind. I feel like a lot of times we're used to our mind just being the one running the show, chattering. And it's very powerful to be intentional with how we train our mind. So asking it questions to go pull answers for us, or giving it direction helps support me in creating.
Yeah. I love that when you said to be able to ask your mind questions, to be in the solving arena rather than focusing on the problem or what can I do? Go into really ideas of solving the problem. So I love that. And another thing that came up for me while you were talking is that speaking into our stories, there is so much chatter in our brain that is relative to childhood perspectives that doesn't really serve us today. And how we see the world is not how the world really is. It's simply through our filters. So being present to that and being present to your stories, and are your stories serving you? And being able to be, I love this, Tabitha, you're so good. Bringing these things up. So yeah.
Well, it's the collective where two or more gathered together, right? What comes up for me is one of the trainings that I do with the abundance workshops is around identity. And I can pull evidence for anything that is disempowering. And I can pull evidence from my life for anything that is empowering.
Yes.
And which one is going to serve me in moving forward? If there's something I get to shift, then yes, I can look at what isn't serving me. If there's something that isn't serving me that I want to tweak. But ultimately, what's going to pull me forward is reminding myself who I am. Because once I have experienced myself as someone who makes a difference, someone who makes an impact, then I can continue to make an bigger impact because I'm going to show up that way. Versus the part of me that wants to chatter and say that wasn't enough or I wasn't enough. Then, if I'm listening to that, I can pull evidence for that as well. There's plenty of times where I haven't been enough, I haven't done enough. So we always have both. We always have both stories that actually have factual moments in our lives. So which one are we going to pull from?
I am going to pull out content from what you just said and repeat it because it is so golden. You said that we can cruise along in life, and being aware that we can choose something that will serve us or will not serve us. So the moment in life where we're going to just do this because it's just what we always do, if you can think about as you're going through your day, when there's a crossroads, or even if it is a crossroad, just being aware and being able to pause. And the one thing that I coach everything and do retreats on is choice. You have a choice. You have a choice of whether you can go down the path that serves you, and sometimes it's super hard, or you can go back down the path that is the chatter in your brain and do the old thing you've always done before, feels comfortable, feels familiar, and it gets you the same results. So I don't know where that would be in your lives, but if you pay attention and you create your awareness that you can do something different, it's going to be messy and uncomfortable and awkward. And I encourage you to do it anyway. Just, you have a choice. You have a choice. So I just want to take that out of what you said because it was so darn good. So thank you. Love it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's so, kind of like we talked about yesterday, being willing to feel the feelings, whether it's, feeling like, that wasn't successful, feeling like a moment of failing, like you said, failing forward, but it still feels like failing sometimes, right? Or it still feels awkward and uncomfortable when we're making a decision that we haven't made before and doing something new and different. So yeah, those feelings we get to be willing to just get into a little bit. I have to sneeze. I might mute myself if I start to sneeze, just so you know. I'm like,
yeah. Well, in those moments, I'll bless you if you do. In those moments, pause. It's really okay to pause so that you can choose to respond versus react. And one of the things that I heard that really impacted me and was a good little tool to put in my toolbox was that when in doubt, don't. And learning to pause in my life was such an extraordinary gift. And it was hard because some of us can be reactive, right?
Well, and there's pressure. Like for me, a lot of times when I would be in doubt, I would make the decision that someone else was wanting me to make.
Yeah.
So back to the original part of this conversation about our own intuition versus someone else's guidance. There's times where we do lean into that, but then there's times where it's like, doubt, right? I don't feel like that's it. I feel like this is it, but I'm being pulled. That's typically where that doubt comes from, right? We're being pulled between two things. So pausing, so powerful. Practicing, I'm going to get back to you on that.
Yeah.
Not letting an answer come out of your mouth because my answer would be like, sure. Like,
I know. And our ego's going, I can do that, or yes, or, our ego is running the show.
What are they going to think?
Yeah, they're going to think I'm stupid if I say, no, let me think about that. Right. So get ourselves started. I know. And also the reaction. If we knee-jerk reaction when we're in doubt, we're usually going down that old neural pathway that is the same old thing that we created when we were a child that's going to give us the same result. So
and hopefully the lesson, because in that moment for me, when I paused but didn't say, let me get back to you on that, I paused and noticed the doubt, but I answered anyway. I realized from that path, this is why I'm where I'm at again. So the powerful lesson still came.
Right. And it doesn't even have to be a big deal, breakdown. It's like a process of these little reminders of like, oh yeah. That,
and how to actually hear our intuition. There's those little steps. Yeah. Absolutely.
Right. It's progress, not perfection.
Yes.
And I was one that I'm not about the journey. I'm about the destination. Let's just
get there.
Oh, no. That's so counterintuitive.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful and rich and such a fun place to live from when our intuition is so clean and clear. So powerful.
Yummy stuff.
Such a fun conversation. Thank you for being here to have it with me today. Thank you for everyone who has watched with us. I hope that you are enriched by this conversation as much as we are. Share in the comments if you are. Definitely subscribe. And thank you for being here. We're going to let YouTube go for today.